guys, welcome back to my channel. Remember last year when we were making these really cute small spindle ladders? And I've also done some 3 and 4 foot ones as well, like on the right. I decided I wanted to modernize those and make some to sell at my shows this year. I'm using 2x2s, and I made the mistake of buying some in this bundle, and I do not recommend it. I did notice that these were kind of shaved off on the edges, but when I got it home and took it apart, they were so damaged on the inside, I couldn't even use one of them. And I thought they would be straighter if they were bound like this, but I recommend taking them apart at the store and buying them individually. So I happen to have 2 6-foot 2x2s already sanded and stained. I had made a tripod last year for a display, so I took that apart because it really didn't work out. And I sanded away most of the antiquing wax that I had on there because I want these modern ladders to be lighter wood. So I did that, and then I took some of the new 2x2s and I cut 4 rungs for the ladder. I only have 3 here because the other one has antiquing wax on it, so it will match the wood part, and then I'm going to paint the rest of it. And I just sand these lightly, just so people won't get splinters. I'm not looking for perfection, just making sure they're smooth. And when I put these together, on the 6-foot ladders, I go up about 10 inches. And then I make a mark 10 inches from the top as well. And then I just kind of evenly disperse the rungs that will be in the middle. I can't remember the exact dimensions here. I think they were like I guess they were about every 12 inches. I think I did that since it was a 6-foot ladder. 12 from the bottom, 12 from the top, and then 12 inches apart. I used glue, but I don't think it was really necessary because I used 3-inch wood screws here. Now, you don't have to worry about the one side when you're putting the rungs on at first, but when you flip it over is when you want to make sure you have your measurements exactly the same on the second side so that your rungs will be straight. I measured up from the bottom each time and used a level just to make sure they were straight. And you'll see it when I'm working on the next ladder. But at the top of my workbench, I have a level clamped across there to make sure both of the sides are butt up against that so that they're even. You don't have to use a level. You can use a piece of wood, just something that will stop them, and you can make sure they're both even. So that's the 6-foot one. I put the 4th rung on later because I'm going to paint the rest of this. And I just used samples that I got at Lowe's that people didn't want after they, made them up for them. And I mixed 2 greens together. I like this darker green. It's like a more natural color. And I put a little baking soda in it because it is latex paint. And I think that helps latex paint adhere better to the wood. And I just lightly sand it and it smooths it right out. I ended up with a matte finish on that green one, but here's a 3-foot one I made. I think this just really modernizes these ladders. Some people call it dipped when you paint it partially. But it gives you a little bit of a rustic look with some natural wood, and then you have that pop of color. On this 3-foot one, I think my rungs were about 8 inches wide, because even though it's shorter, if you go more narrow than that, it looks a little too chunky, and it really isn't functional if you want to lean it somewhere in your kitchen to use for hand towels or whatever. And I believe I went about 8 inches apart, or maybe 8 inches from the bottom and top, and then just evenly spaced the rungs in the middle. And I used 3 for this one. I also usually only use 3 for a 4-foot ladder, but they're just a little further apart. And on this one, you'll notice at the top, I also just cut a little angle just to have a little detail on it because it can look a little more plain because it's so small. But I did the same thing with the rungs here. Don't worry too much about that opposite side. And I just used my speed square here just to get the rungs in there and make sure they're as straight as possible. And I still used the 3-inch wood screws. And again, I don't think I needed the glue. But these screws are pretty cool. They have a star hole in the head, and the bit comes with the screws in the little box. So here's where you can see I have the level. Again, it could just be a piece of wood. I'm not using it as a level. I just made sure it was even with the end of my workbench so that I could push these both up there and make sure they were even. So here I have flipped it over. I make sure that both of them are up at the top. Then I clamp it down, and I used my square just to make sure everything was straight from side to side. And this one is all screwed in. And this one ended up being white. I don't know what's going on with my camera, y'all. I'm sorry. But I painted this one white and I actually put a gloss finish on it. And it really looks pretty. Again, I think this is a really good option for people who really aren't into the spindle farmhouse thing, but maybe want something a little more modern. And this way you can get some natural wood. That's why I left them light. And then you can also get a pop of color. So you guys comment and let me know what you think about my modern farmhouse ladders. Let me know if you still like the spindle ladders. And I really appreciate you guys watching.